Peace, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Marc Lamont Hill, a Patreon exclusive. Today, I am joined by two very, very, very special guests. I have Julie McKnight and Brian McKnight Jr. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Of course, man. Thanks for having us.
So, for the last couple of weeks, Brian McKnight Sr. has been in the media, came across my radar. And the thing I noticed when I was watching him do interviews or do a particular interview was that you all hadn't responded much, that you all were fairly quiet in the media and had been for a while. Mm-hmm. What made you want to talk now?
To be honest, man, like I said when you initially reached out to me, it's been years for me dealing with this. Years. We're talking since 2019. This has been our family story in the media. And I have said pretty much all I've needed to say about it. Do you know what I mean? It's really not things that I necessarily even feel for me personally I need to rehash anymore. But with this new set of things that have been said and the way that it seems like this is going to continue to play out, if we don't say something, is a big part of the reason why. And you yourself personally, I wasn't going to talk to anyone else. And to be even realer, it has even nothing to do with the spat that you and my father have. Me and my boys have always appreciated your point of view on things and the way that you handle your conversations and the way that you talk. And that made a big difference on my decision to finally say something. But within the unfortunateness of this entire situation, I do think it's imperative for not only myself to not absolve myself of certain things, but to just open the door for a new conversation to be had. And not just between us, not just between me and my father, but now because we are in the public, it's with all of you as well and everyone. Yeah. So I do appreciate the opportunity to do this, but I'm hoping it's the last time that we have to address these things based on things said by my dad. So I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to not draw the line in the sand or anything like that, but to, again, I would love everything from here on out to become a bridge of understanding, man.
I like that. I like that idea of bridge of understanding, and that's the reason why I wanted to talk to you too. You know, I don't have any issue with Brian. I don't know him to have an issue with him. As a public commentator, we commented on the information that he put in the public, and we got to hear one side of it.
Right.
And so for me, it was important to say, well, what does this other side look like? And most importantly, how can we maybe move in a direction toward healing, whatever that looks like, whatever healing looks like. That's all I care about. Yeah. So maybe let's take a step back and talk about what happened in that most recent interview. One of the things that Brian McKnight talked about was the relationship itself. He talked about it as a marriage that was almost not forced, but that pregnancy sort of produced this thing. And he, as a good church boy, you know, decided to move forward with this sort of arranged situation to do right. And that you all had a relationship that was on the rocks. You know, you separated 4 times, he said, and that's how you ended up where you ended up.
Well, first and foremost, it was just watching that interview. I was like, was he married to somebody before me? Because this was not the situation. And even in writing about it, everything was glowing when, you know, I wrote even in the book about how the relationship started.
Did it start in the church?
It started when we were children. I did not meet him in college. Our families have been intertwined since before I was born. Our parents went to college together. His mom was my dad's campus sister. I wasn't this girl who met him in college just hanging out on campus. Our families have always been together. And at the point where I realized I was pregnant with this beautiful one when I came home for vacation. He was already on his way to California, had asked my parents permission to come and stay to try and work on a record deal. His mom gave him 1 year I love you, Grandmama Lane, gave him a year and said, if you don't get this deal, you coming home. Got a blessing from my parents. My parents allowed him to come and live with our home, where then at the time I was functioning as a group home counselor, still doing that now. And he was allowed to come and live with us while working on getting a record deal. I think one of the misconceptions that has been played out is, I hear he was getting ready to make it and I latched on and got pregnant. It's my experience. It's not the case.
Oh, were you in love?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my brother used to tease us all the time. I couldn't sobs at the airport when I had to leave,
Wait, just to be clear, he was sobbing.
Oh.
Okay, because I want people to hear, I think you were in love and he was just trying to...
Oh, no.
He was there so he wouldn't get fined.
My brother picked us because the whole situation where we went out of town. I was asked to leave school. I carried on the family history of it and didn't want to go. So he was, subsequently had to leave because I was staying at the boys' dorm and wasn't supposed to at this Christian college, but I was staying there in his room. So once they found that out, then we both had to go. But I don't think in any way I have ever been unclear about the fact that there were definitely deeper feelings in the relationship. Which is why it was so disturbing for me, because even the scenario of I'm pregnant, now here we are, my family, from my grandmother down, because we all lived in one house, my grandparents, my parents, I had 2 cousins there. We were, like I said, we were running a group home. And he came in, found a place to be in that situation. And my family from day one made it very clear, you do not have to marry her. She will be fine. I made that clear.
I think he was saying some of it was his own guilt, though, and his own upbringing in the
right.
Adventist church.
His mother made it clear to him that he did not have to. We all had a family conversation about it because she was so close to my dad. She was really like my dad's sister. Mm-hmm. And I mean, our entire families, and they discussed it. They made it clear. It's not what you have to do. Now, the discussion he may have had with Mom on his own, I wasn't privy to, but Mom was clear that is not something that had to happen up until right before the wedding.
Wow. So, and the reason, y'all, that this was an important talking point was because not just in the most recent interview that Brian McKnight did, but over the last few years, he's talked about his new relationship. He's talked about his new songwriting ethic. He's talked about a few things where he said, I've never had these feelings before. I've never done these things before. He said he never loved anyone like that before, or loved anyone. He said, I've never even liked, I've heard him say before, my partner before like this.
It's not the truth.
Is it? I don't mean to push this, but is there any way maybe y'all were feeling 2 different things? People talk past each other in relationships.
When I look back, no. I would love to say, you know what, in retrospect, maybe I was, I'm a 55-year-old woman. I'm very clear on if someone feels some way or not. Doesn't matter. The ages were thrown around a lot. Didn't make a difference. I was blessed to have come up in a home with parents and strong women, my grandmothers, my aunts. I was around women who made it very clear to me how to move forward in my life. And he spent enough time around my family where it would have been clear. It was so disturbing because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking there were people here during this period of time that's being discussed who clearly know a different situation and a different side of the story. I mean, even when this one was born, the comments made about, how they were here and how they were made. Oh my God, BJ, you couldn't pry him out of his arms.
Well, that was going to be the thing I have for you, BJ. When you hear my children weren't made out of love or born out of love. These children were born out of sin. In statements like that, how'd you feel? How does it make you feel?
It's interesting for me. To be honest, it's different. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sting. It doesn't hurt my feelings because I understand. As someone who has been in my own, I've gone through it all. I've gone through everything my dad has gone through in half the time. You know what I mean? I've got 3 children, 2 different women. My first 2 kids I had with someone I wasn't in a relationship with.
Right.
You know what I mean? I am able to put myself in my dad's shoes and say, okay, well, if you were 19 and 20 and you weren't ready to have a kid yet, I know that there had to have been conversations had around not having me. So, and from that standpoint, I can understand that maybe what he's trying to say out of spite and pettiness to hurt my mom may not necessarily be how he actually feels. See, I'm able to separate the 2 things.
That's a generous reading of him.
I get it, man. I've said many times through this whole thing that I think that I'm the person that could help my dad.
Right.
And that's not coming from a place of ego. It's not coming from a place of feeling like I'm better than him or smarter than him. No, I understand, dog. I've been through it. And I've managed to keep my integrity through all of this, maintain honesty as well as I can as a young man trying to figure himself out and do things. I've made mistakes, especially in relationships, a lot of which I learned from seeing the relationships around me, as we know how it goes with conditioning and generational things. So it's just like, I've had a lot of time and self-work on myself to reach that level of being able to not just have it hurt my feelings. Does it hurt my feelings? Of course. I'm not going to deny the fact that hearing your father say these things publicly is where it's an issue for me. But like I said years ago, me and my father have been way past the father-son role at this point. It's time for us to have a conversation as men.
Absolutely.
I've always been willing to have that.
Is he unwilling to have it?
I don't think he's ready to have it yet. And that's not a jab at him.
Well, let me ask directly, though. Have you tried to have that
100%. 100%. For years.
And when you reach out?
Just to be as fully transparent as possible, because that's what I plan to be today.
Yeah.
My father told me that the only way that he would have the conversation with me is that if I went online and told everyone that I was lying about the initial post that I made back in the day.
Was that 2019?
2019, yes. And if you aren't familiar, I made an Instagram post back in the day. I mean, pretty much saying that, it was simply stating essentially that I do not dig the way that you're treating my siblings. Absolutely. Did I say he abandoned us? Did I say that? All of that became misconstrued through all the BS. And then within his responses of not really knowing what to say and obviously not having someone on his team tell him to maybe take a beat. But no, all of this stems from the fact that the one thing that I will never tolerate, nor condone, nor deal with is you mistreating my family in any way.
No.
Was it my post petty and spiteful? 100%. I knew, because I knew my dad, that was the only way to get his attention. I've been clear about that.
I was trying to pull up the post. In 2019, though, because it's definitely being framed now as if you said he abandoned me, which, of course, raises questions given your age and other things.
Of course.
What were you trying to communicate in 2019? What exactly were you trying to communicate?
That I would never do that.
Do what? What's the thing?
Turn my back on my children, no matter what they've done.
Okay. So that's an interesting place to start, digging a little bit. He doesn't deny that there's a rift and that there's a moment where y'all stop talking. It seems where y'all are disagreeing is the why and the when and the what.
Absolutely.
What was the moment or the thing that caused you all to separate?
I think there's two different separations there. I had mine individually. My sons had a different one.
When was yours?
Mine was when I was not going to tolerate his girlfriends anymore. That was the last straw. Yeah, there were
During your marriage?
During our marriage. There were multiple separations. It was presented that there were a bunch of separations because we just shouldn't have been together.
Yeah.
And it was rocky from day one. Absolutely not. There were a lot of situations tolerated where, like my son tells you, if we do nothing else, it's going to be to take accountability for our parts of a situation. Maybe there were multiple affairs because he wasn't just promiscuous. He just really didn't want to be married. Gotcha. Maybe the truth in it could have been where we were there for the kids. For me, I was there because I was a wife. There was never...
And you still wanted to be married. There's no point where you didn't.
No, I come from a family of marriage. I wasn't that person who was like, whatever you do, I got you. No, we're going to do this. We're going to talk about this. What's happening? I grew up within the industry and I was so protective of him because I knew that he was not ready for the demon that is the industry. The demon, and that's Hollywood. I knew that. So I was very... not controlling, not possessive, but very protective of how moves were made. People that were allowed around him, whether it was, allowed's the wrong word, management. And he was very open to that because he knew that my father, this is what my dad had always, being around celebrity wasn't a big deal. That's what is strange to me because if he would have just ended up being the computer engineer that he was in college for, that would have been fine with me.
Right.
You know, so it had nothing to do with where he had planned to go. I encouraged it, of course, but that's where my rift. I didn't want to see my children, the older they got, and how comfortable situations became with allowing outside people around my children, around me, situations.
Are we talking outside people, like industry people?
No, these
or women. In
women.
Okay.
That was the last straw for me when I had, it became dangerous for my sons. I had one that called me to let me know they knew where my kids went to school, where he played basketball, where my youngest went to a skate park. Absolutely not. That is your narrative to control. And yes, there was a period of time where I said, nah, kids are not. My first and foremost priority is my children. There was never a time where I felt like I'm going to risk, first of all, my self-respect as the woman who my sons would grow up and be able to say, this is my mom.
Yeah.
What did she tolerate? What did she not? How did she maneuver these things? How did she protect us? Could I have made different decisions? Of course. I don't blame that on youth. That's life and learning. But the minute I realized, no, these are the boundaries I'm setting, and they were continually crossed.
And these don't sound like unconventional boundaries. You're saying we're married, no girlfriends, or if you have them, have the girlfriends leave my kids alone.
No, at the time when we realized this is when you were at like what was my break.
Yeah.
It was when I realized, okay, this is clearly what you feel is going to be the case. So I'm going to go on it. I'm choosing to go.
Got it.
And when I was asked to come back, okay, so let's work on this. This is your husband. This is your kid's father. We can work through this. I get it. It's a lot. You got a lot getting thrown at you for somebody who was the quirky, eccentric one in school. Now suddenly you're everywhere and you're huge and you're the next big. I get it. I got it. I got you. You got a safe space. This is home. This is where, so the narrative that there was an aggrievement that I'm doing this, never wanted to do this, but since this is what you chose, this is how it's going to work. There were diapers changed. There were bottles fed. There were lullabies sang. There were, no, babe, you stay asleep. I'll grab the babies. I'll do. That is what the dynamic was.
Well, that's actually good to hear, and I'm not surprised by this. Nothing about him seemed like he was not a good father.
No, I mean, he absolutely, even those years where there was a separation during my pregnancy with Nico, and it was by my choice.
Yeah.
Because absolutely not were things going to be tolerated while I'm pregnant. The stress of it, raising my son, I needed to be present for my older one. He was only 2.5. I couldn't be that mother that was, I'm not, following you around to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do as a grown man in a marriage so you can go handle that. I need to be pregnant right now. I got to deliver some babies. And that's when the choice was made on his side. Let's come back and let's make this work. This is my family. The exact words, I want my family back.
I want my family back.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that's all you got to tell me, Jack. We're moving, son. And that's.
Do you remember those days? Were you happy to be back?
Of course.
Yeah.
I remember everything, man. I think it's the one thing my dad forgets.
Right.
Mm.
When your parents divorced, what was it like for you when you knew it was over?
See, man, I was a different kid.
Right.
I knew at 4 and 5 and 6 years old what my mom and dad were going through.
Right.
All of it, though. Deep things I probably shouldn't have known.
Like the other women too?
Oh, of course, man. It's like, that's what I mean. There's so many layers to our dynamic as a family. To take certain things said at face value really discredits, like my mom said, every single part of this that's gone on.
Right.
And especially when it comes to me and, of course, my brother now. The things that have been said about us even are just like, they're just petty and spiteful.
So let's talk about that, because I've heard your break. Your father describes the break between you and him as occurring later, because he says even after the divorce things were okay, even when he had a new girlfriend, even when he remarried things were okay, that things were still stable and solid. He says at some point you guys came on the road with him. He wanted you all you all were artists, and he wanted you to experience the road. He wanted you to know what it was like to play in front of crowds and to also have to get up early and do all the things. And when y'all got there, these are my words, my interpretation of him. He said y'all were a little entitled. He said there was a lot of drugs, a lot of laying around. Then it was, I miss my girlfriend, I'm going back. Right. That there was a lack of kind of accountability, maybe a slightly lower work ethic than is needed.
Unbelievable.
That's the gist. That was my takeaway from him, and that he got tired of babying y'all also. So
hilarious.
What do you say?
All right, here we go. You got to think, man. The longest amount of time that me and my brother spent with my father consecutively were the 9 years we toured together. I started touring at 17.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. My brother's 14. Hadn't spent any time with my dad like that yet. Me and my father had a special relationship because I played ball. So I got to hang out with my dad more just because of that. Let's start there. I turned 18, I moved right back to LA. I don't tell my mama, I don't tell my brother, nothing. I left them for a year to go be with my dad. Barely saw him then.
Did he encourage that move?
No, he didn't even know. And I still think to this day that one pitiful movement on my part changed the trajectory of a lot of things, but that's a different story. But me and Nico, we worked our asses off, man. Like, I don't care what my dad said. We loved it. We got to tour. We got to travel. We got to learn a lot. I watched my dad open and close a show every night. I loved it, man. This is my favorite time of my life, was doing that with my father and my brother. And we worked hard together. We worked very, very hard. Lots of early mornings, lobby calls. We were never late. I ran the sound checks most of the time before my dad got there. You feel me? Did we party? Did we hang out? Of course we did. I was 19 years old and the kid was chilling. We smoked weed. To talk about us as we are drug addicts and all that, we live in California, in the valley, and we have money.
I think you have to.
Entitled. We were young kids just like all of y'all. What the funniest thing about this, like I said to my grandfather the other day, is the way people would tell me what they would do with my life.
Right.
The way that people out there, because of the things that my dad have said to us, it's astonishing to me what people think they would have done in my shoes, particularly. I can't speak for my brother, and he's not here to speak for himself anymore.
Right.
So the things that have even been said about him as of late, those are things that, again, I won't let slide. But again,
Absolutely not.
our break with my dad came way later.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you said, Ma, that Grandma Elaine kicked Dad out, or didn't kick him out, but he told him he had a year. That's what he did to us, too.
Mm-hmm.
Now it makes sense. I never knew that.
Yeah, he said he got you an apartment, paid for it, and said you got a year to get this
Let's
thing
stop
together.
there.
Yeah.
Let's stop there. And this is I'm telling you, this is the last time I'm talking about any of this. So everybody knows. I was already 23.
Mm-hmm.
2 years prior to that, me and my brother were looking at houses.
Right.
This is back when you can get a crib in Porter Ranch in L.A. for $2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking 15 years ago. We were looking at houses based on promises and just promises that we were made about what we would get if we did the last tour, which we had already decided that we weren't going to do because we were becoming a rock band. And my brother had just had surgery on his hernia. Couldn't even travel without being in constant pain.
And still did.
And we still were doing it. Still getting begged to fly out. Still having to do it. You know what I mean? So that's why, again, when I hear stuff like we were just a couple of young, entitled, drug-addict kids, when? Well, I made more music. We did more for him during that time. I produced and mixed the last of those 3 albums he worked on at the crib when he lost the studio. When he had all of his gear, legendary gear, sold at the crib because he just didn't care no more and just didn't want to make no more music. And then all this is what was going on at the time. He ruptures his Achilles. He's doing all the beats. He's going through his midlife. He'd have been my age then than I am now. We saw it happen. Let me show you how your Pussy Works song. You know, all of
that was a low moment.
That same period of time when he lets me and my brother and my best friend do the theme song for youporn.com, and they bring a bunch of porn stars to the crib and have us shoot a music video, and he leaves us there with his handlers, and they allowed us to do this. But we were entitled drug addict kids. Where was the parents that were with us, around us? My mom's in North Carolina and only found out about all this when we told her.
And how old were you? How old were you?
20.
Now, there are people who are going to say, you still grown.
My brother was 17.
He was 17.
That's grown? 20 years old? That's grown? Again, I would love to see what y'all would do in that situation. I was 20 years old. 20.
Yeah.
And we weren't sheltered kids.
No.
This is the flip side of the thing I want to talk about, too, and I'm glad. Another reason why I came on here, so I can go ahead and lay this out there. Man, we were not these little spoiled rich kids as we were presented out to be. My dad don't even know the kind of things and the kind of stuff that I was into as a young kid. I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, 30 minutes from Durham. You feel me? I hooped with real niggas all the time. All my homies were hitters, and that's real. My Arab homies, you know what I mean? I grew up with people that really, really were about that life in a lot of ways, and I was accepted because I hooped, and I come from a family of real niggas too. All my uncles are G's. My dad knows these things. All my dad's people that he came up with out here, the people that protected him when he was out on the west side.
Absolutely.
Those are my uncles. And my uncles extend outside of our blood family, man. That's just how we move. There was never a time that even me and my brother treated people like we were entitled.
No.
We were never those kids. We didn't hang out with the celebrity. We don't have celebrity friends. Most of the time, them niggas didn't like us. Because we didn't care about a lot of that stuff, man. We never cared about being flashy. We never cared about stunting on people. Me and my brother wanted to be accepted. We spent especially my younger brother,
Right.
as the quote-unquote black sheep. You know what I mean? So that's why, yeah, those things hurt because, again, it's spiteful. It's petty. It's also narcissistic. You know what I mean? It's like to continue to try to paint us out, especially when we're not throwing jabs. We're not saying nothing. You mad at us because the internet continues to rehash certain things for you, and you just don't know how to shut your mouth and stop fueling the fire.
You say you weren't entitled. He did say that when you had some child support issues, that he was expected to take care of it. Even though you're grown, you had this child support stuff, and then you told the girl, hey, my dad's paying for this.
Because that never happened.
No.
That never happened. Expected is one thing. I'd never even formally asked him. And this is why putting these types of things out there in public is so detrimental to even my children and their mother and our side of things either. The way I even found out how much I owed in child support. See, there's so many layers to these kinds of stories, y'all, that you got to really do more digging. But the thing about it is you can't tell people to just do more digging because this is information that no one should even know.
Absolutely.
Well, there's that.
You feel me? These are things that we only have to absolve ourselves for because now we're in the public and because of the things that my dad has gone to say. This is in-house business matters that should not be discussed in public. I shouldn't have to tell y'all that I didn't find out that I had to pay child support until I owed $17,000.
Yeah.
I was never properly served. It's not like they were tracking me down. I wasn't hard to find. I was homeless for 4 years, though, so I didn't have an address. He didn't tell you about the years and about the months I was sleeping out of my car.
Did he know you were sleeping in your car?
Of course he did.
And what did he say to you?
Nothing.
Did he offer to help?
The last time me and my father had a real correspondence, I had lost my third apartment in Culver City. All I asked was to stay at the crib for 2 weeks because I had already had where I was going lined up. And what I was met with was the ultimatum that I could either sell my Jeep or just move back to North Carolina. And I said then, I was like, okay. Bet. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
Mom, let me ask you about that. Just 1 second, because as the parent of two 20-year-olds, I do understand the impulse at some point, particularly if you have some resources, to be like, all right, y'all going to keep asking until I say no. And as much as I don't want to say no, I need y'all to learn some tough love,
right?
Some tough life lessons. Not because I can't do it, but because I want you to be a certain kind of person, a certain kind of resilient. Is it possible that that's what he was trying to do?
No. Nope. Because a lot of things always would come with conditions, even in situations that he and I had to try to negotiate things with. Well, if you do this, then I'll do this, till it became a point where once again it had to be very clear, no, this is what you are going to do. This is what you said you would do. This is what you're supposed to do. And just to piggyback off of my son, there was a clear plan set in place in our divorce. My vision was always, I don't need bags. I don't need purses. I don't need this. I don't need that. My mind is always based on legacy. My children, at the time, my grandbabies weren't here, but we're a family. So things that I set in place in our agreement were things to set up protection because I knew who I was dealing with. There, and once again, like my son says, these are things that he opened these things up. There were accounts that were to be set up so they didn't have to go to anyone. There were trusts that were set up. There was an agreement that I put a clause in on my boys saying, you've got to this age, you have two choices. You can say, I'm dad, mom, I'm going to school, or bring us a business plan. They were young, 13, 14, 15, 16. They were clear on this. Bring us your business plan. I knew they wanted to do art. That's what we are. We're a creative family. They're not just, that was what I knew. They did that at 14, 13, 16, 14. They were writing, they had a catalog of music, amazing things, set their own meeting up for a distribution deal as teenagers, brought the deal home, proud of it. We're thinking that there were these funds that were set aside that would be released to them at their ages to do their business, handle their lives. That was the agreement.
Y'all came up to that agreement with
their dad.
With their dad during the divorce?
Yes.
Okay.
And they did that, did their business plan, presented it to them. They were told, I can get you a better deal than this. Because that's their father. Of course they're trusting what he said to them.
Yeah.
It did not happen. Subsequently, finding out that the accounts were never set up.
Oh. So
everything that they were told, they did what they were expected to do. he and his brother as young teenagers. Because my thing about this is this: I'm not that mom. I'm raising men. I come from a man family. My father is a man. My brothers, I know what that means. And of course I'm their mama. Yeah, but I want you to be, let's do this. You're going to handle this. I'm going to teach you how to set yourself up in your life where you are also working towards what your goals are and having the responsibilities that you need to have. You're not just going to ask for this money because I'm entitled to it because my dad makes it. You are honoring what you said that you would do, he and his brother, as young men, as young teenagers. When we sat together, we talked about that, and my boys got on it. As young teenagers, we're not talking about what was expected of them after the fact. They were hoodwinked and bamboozled into thinking that when they reach these ages, and if we do what we are supposed to do, this is what we're going to be able to do. They not at any point wanted to ask for anything from anyone. They thought that if we're doing what we're doing in our lives and this is going to happen, then to just find out that it wasn't there. So now you got to come do this. They loved it though. I was excited that they're on the road. I loved it. They did get the experience. They did get all of that. But at the end of the day, at no point is it a situation where, and I can't speak for them, but like I said, piggying off of them, they wanted to work. When they realized that we wanted to take a different direction, that's what they wanted to do. But no one knows the full anything. They had been working hard. Like he said, all of the equipment, all the old equipment, they got to work, showing that this is what we want to do. And they presented it. And they were right there on target with what they wanted to do.
When you found out that the accounts had never been set up,
I lost my mind.
Well, I was going to say, did you go to him?
Absolutely.
What did he say?
He said, I'm not giving it to them because they should have went to college. That wasn't what we agreed on. Yeah. That's not what we agreed.
I mean, he told us out of his own mouth that. I'll never forget that day.
What exactly did he say?
Since y'all aren't going to school, I can use that money for other things.
And did.
Verbatim.
And the other things, did you ever tell you what those other things were? No.
I'm sure you can guess, though. Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. It's never been about money for us.
Never.
What's it about?
We have money. That's just being aware.
Being aware. Yeah.
We would never ask my dad for money. We would starve in our own crib sometimes. There were times, and mind you, we weren't allowed to cook in the kitchen either. See, these are things.
You weren't allowed to cook in the kitchen? What do you mean?
My best friend Tommy, amazing chef.
Yeah.
Before my dad would move whatever girlfriend he had at the time in the crib, there was always a new set of rules when he was in a relationship. So that's just like, come on, dog. If we were those kids, we hated asking my dad for anything. Mm-hmm. I still have a problem asking for help. I haven't had to ask for help as much as I've had to ask for help in this last year, and it's been the most transformative thing of my life.
Yeah.
Because it's only it's only monetary. It's only that's what sucks about it. Because it's only.
Do you fear rejection because of the parental situation?
I don't fear rejection at all.
So why is it so hard for you to ask for help?
I think it comes from the, man stuff, what society says being a man is supposed to be and being strong. And I've struggled in silence for a decade because I didn't want to have to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down a quote from the interview because you were talking about sometimes not having money. Brian McKnight Sr. said, "You didn't have to get quarters out of the couch. I bought you a house anywhere you want. Maybe you didn't manage it well."
No,
that's nuts.
That's not the truth. When we were asked that he's referencing is a quote from my book.
Yeah.
When I was asked to leave with my children at 3 and 6, I was asked. We came.
Asked, you mean like put out of the house?
Absolutely. We spent summers in North Carolina, and I came home. He was away. I call him to let him know I'm home. Can't get him. Not answering. Oh, okay, no problem. Kids go up. They were 3 and they were Mook was there. You were 2.
And y'all weren't separated, right?
No, we were together.
Okay.
And his brother let me know, and his assistant at the time was a dear friend of ours. They were there, and they let us know that we were moving, and that he had set an apartment up down the street from the house. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, Tyler Perry, you owe me some cash, man, because that scene that was my life. And I said, so what are you talking? Moving truck, not done. I had to figure out, I called my cousin at the time. He had a moving company. This is Los Angeles. They came to move me out, moved me into an apartment maybe 10 minutes down the road, and that's what the plan was. And I'm in a fog because, first of all, the Julie that I am now, Kat, you can go. Why am I moving with my kids? But at that time, I was like, I just want to be, I want to be out. I want to be out. I want to be out. And we moved. And yes, the apartment, the rent was paid. There was no spousal support. We weren't divorced. There was no money. Even when I was living there, at the height of everything that he did, I controlled none of that. And my $1,000 allowance in the household was for me to handle whatever else. It was a lot of control. Mm-hmm. If you need more, I'll give you more. But I'm running an entire 8,000 square foot house, and you want to give me this, and this is what we do. Okay, fine, I can handle it. Once we moved, there was nothing. There was nothing. And I don't care if somebody was sitting in that chair. They couldn't look at me in my face and say to me that I wasn't figuring it out. And dealt with. It's not about managing it. I had control. This is one thing that I wanted women to get in this situation. I can give myself that I did put too much faith in thinking that this is what he's going to do as a man. I wasn't working. I wanted to work. No, told me not to. How dare somebody see my wife working in somewhere? I was a functioning adult before.
But he didn't want you to work.
He didn't want me
because he didn't want Brian McKnight, the celebrity, you're saying.
Yes, he didn't want Brian McKnight's wife to be working.
Gotcha.
And I said, okay, well, these are things that need to happen. None of that made a difference. Once we moved out, it was like we were picked up and just placed in this other little place. And that was it. So, yes, I was struck. I wasn't able to get assistance because I'm married to you. I would have had no problem. I would have had none. I've got one kid in school, 2-year-old at home, and nothing. Thank God for my family. I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. So I almost said a big girl word. Who cares that as an adult, I needed help? Mm-hmm. My family was there. My family was who was there for me. So I don't want to hear about the fact that your kids are a certain age, man. This is your family.
Right.
And I did have to reach out to my brothers, to my cousins who lived there. All of my family had moved back to North Carolina. It was me and my sons there. Mm-hmm. I thank God for his mom, Grandma Elaine. She was there for me, with us. Mm-hmm. And she still lived in the home. But no, my kids and I did play. Yes, I was collecting coins and cashing them in and doing all of that. All of that.
So were we in that.
All of that. And that is just the truth. My parents were still sitting. We would visit my family on the weekends. It was easier for me during the week because I had Nico at home with me. He was in school. Our weeks would flow. On the weekends, I would go. My aunt and uncle were giving care packages of pull-ups and milk and this and that and cooking me full meals to bring home. I'm home with my son. I can't go work. I can't afford daycare. He's at school, thank God. But no, this is what was going on. This is what was going on. Who wants to sit up and make up a story about not being able to actively function with your children?
Right.
What benefit is that for me?
The argument would be that you're trying to make him look like a bad person because he moved on, not just to another relationship,
Right.
but he's become the man and the person that many people thought he could not be: loving, faithful, happy, all these things.
This was no, because I moved out, went back 3 days later to get the rest of my things. He had already moved his next friend in, and her 2 children, which were not his, 2 infants, they were moved into my home. I went back to gather more things, almost went to jail, and chose differently. She didn't even know I was in the house standing behind her at that couch. This is my house.
Paint that picture for me. So you go back to your house that you've been basically put out.
Right.
And in the house is Brian's new girlfriend.
Yes.
And 2 kids.
Yes. They were infants. And I came in, door was locked, tried to get in. These were crazy times for me. I look back at them and I think, oh, it was nothing but God, man, because that took me on a path where I was like really close to being Looney Tunes because everything was just happening like this. I couldn't get in the house. Okay, fine. I just feel lots have changed. I go around the side, not embarrassed about this at all. My brain was out of here. Climbed through my side window because it was open. So I'm going to go in and get some other things. There were boxes left, and I had to come in, came through the foyer. The couch is this way, TV's here, her back is turned, and I'm looking at this chick in my home with her 2 kids, folding clothes.
Wow.
And I had to stand there, and something in me, and I said, my sons. My sons. That was the only thing, was my children. I could make a decision at this point to not ever see them again. And that is not what was going to happen. So I just walked out the front door. That was it. And at that point, I was done. Done. Something in me changed. I got lighter. I went back to school. I started another relationship. I was done. I was finished, and it wasn't anything bitter. Right then, something in me said, you know what?
And we were chilling.
This is not where he wants to be.
We were chilling.
And
that was some of the most fun. Those few months. I'll never, it
was the lightest and most refreshing time in our lives. I was a better mom. I wasn't, it took me a minute to, my family did kind of have they would tease me because I took up, a bit of art class and, just kind of found a way to decorate my Alizé bottles all over the house. But I was working through some stuff.
Right. I'm drinking and painting.
Candles, and they would drip, little paper maches. But I worked through it. I became a healthier mom. We went from a huge space to our 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome. They had friends. We had friends. We had family. It was just a light. And again, I was asked to come. Each time I went back, I was asked to come back. I never had the intention of going back. I was asked to come back. If you want to be gone, be gone. We were fine. I was asked to come back. Okay, we'll do that. And I did, but I did put stipulations in place. And once I saw it being the same, that was when I decided I'm leaving. I'm filing for divorce. Then I did.
And as a kid, you're witnessing all of this. I've seen online, I don't know if it's true or not, you saying that there were times where you all were left with almost the evidence of your dad's girlfriends and relationships around the apartments and stuff like that.
Man. All I'll really say on this particular thing is there are certain things as a kid you shouldn't find. There are certain things that you shouldn't just fall upon, because you're looking for pencils, stuff like that. I used to love I used to raid my dad's closet, you know what I mean? Young, 7, 8 years old, and it's just like there are certain things as a kid you really shouldn't become privy to.
Like what?
Oh, man. Like I said, I don't want to... I mean, just to keep it, for lack of a better way to put it, PG, but man, something as small as porn.
Right.
Something as small as pictures. You know what I mean? It's just, there's certain things you shouldn't see about your dad. You know what I mean? There's really just, it's traumatizing. Now older, you know, having kids.
You see it differently. Because a lot of dudes going to watch this and be like, I got some porn in the closet. Stay out the closet.
No, like I've said, I'm keeping it light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just don't want I'm not trying to pry. I just don't want your examples to make the audience think that you're being too hard on him. Is there any other example you could give?
Listen, being too hard on him at this point, honestly. Come on, man. And let even this moment be a lesson, because it's like, yeah, no, even through all of this, I'm not here to smear this guy.
No.
I'm not here to air out his dirty laundry. I'm not. That's on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as a kid growing up in the midst of all of this trauma, it doesn't help to also have the wool over your eyes being pulled on a lot of things. Like I said, man, I was 7 years old, 8 years old. I knew about my dad and other women. There were times where, this is the only example I'm going to give, just to be completely honest, but I think it has merit. To be 9 years old in the car with your dad, and you pull up to some random apartment and you're outside for 45 minutes. Young me, you know, naive, I'm listening to music, I'm chilling. Older me knows now, yeah, my nigga, you was in there getting your rocks off, and we go back to the crib, and we're sitting in the garage, and you're on the phone talking to someone. You know what I mean? And I know mom's is inside the crib. So... And again, me, I wasn't a normal kid, and I remember everything. My grandparents tell me all the time. I can remember back to 2 years old, dog. So to try to act like we're being fictitious or pulling, like my mom said, these stories out of nowhere, again, these are stories that shouldn't have to be divulged in order to prove that we aren't who we're being painted out to be. Yeah. And I'm not saying it, like, every family has their thing.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
None of us are perfect. My parents aren't perfect. These are things that I tell my young homies and that I try to teach whenever I talk about it. It's like, our parents are people too.
Right.
My dad happens to be Brian McKnight, and my mother is the legend Julie McKnight. I've got two prominent figures from my parents that also had childhoods, for one, that also had their own laundry list of things to deal with from their generational lineages. There's so much more that goes into all this than just being spoiled, entitled wives and children of Brian McKnight.
Speaking of that word McKnight, why do you still go by Julie McKnight?
Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, people, it is curious.
It is. I get it. And I actually did change my name. My name is, I changed my name after my second marriage.
Okay.
Again, I understand why people don't. They think that's the connection. You need to release yourself of this man to be, and having his name. There's absolutely no gain. It's been a detriment to me more than that. My stage name is Julie McKnight. I understand that people don't realize that I have a career of my own that I've been doing almost 30 years because I perform overseas. My market is overseas. Yeah. And we were married when it started. People know me as Julie McKnight. For my I don't call them fans. For my folks that follow me, for them to suddenly need to find Julie Johnson, it doesn't make any sense. In no way, and I'll make it very clear, having that name has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that in any way it's a benefit to me. I went for years with no one even knowing that's who I was married to. Overseas. Oh, any connection to Brian McKnight? The name. I didn't want that to be the connection. Yeah. You can't get any more connected to a person. I've got 2 kids. Yeah. I don't need that name to be, I'm not being spiteful by.
He says it's disrespectful.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Which is narcissistic.
It's not, right. That is my stage name, Julie McKnight. Disrespect. And I will continue to use that name. It's the name that I started under. And
like Tina Turner.
yeah,
I don't think Tina's not trying to hold on to Ike. She just
absolutely not.
Right. She's not.
But
great example.
That's my name. That's who my followers know. That's my following, and that is why. But my name is changed.
Got you.
It's changed.
Understood. I want to pivot just a little bit, and this is heavy, and I want to first just acknowledge the weight of the loss of Nico. For all of you, not just you two, but Brian as well. I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child. I've lost siblings, but never a child. I can't even imagine the pain of what you all have been going through as a family. When I heard Brian Sr. talk about the timeline, there were some things that I thought were worth at least discussing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. First thing is he got the information late.
It's not true.
You tell me your version of what happened, or you. I know this is painful, and so I don't want to.
You know, I love you, Johnny boy. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing, man. And again, this is the last time I'm speaking about this, about any of this with anybody. My dad knew from the jump. I got the DMs. You feel me?
When you say the jump, he found out as soon as y'all found out.
I found out, he knew.
Okay.
I begged my dad to talk to my brother for 2 years. He got diagnosed 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? The lies, man. The unnecessary lies. Even if let's go about it a different way. Even if that's true, even if you got the information late, even if everything he said about us was true, you had the power, right, to step in, take control.
He said he tried, and that his wife intervened as well and said, "Hey, you can not even say it's from us. Like, we just want to help."
Why would I beg my dad to help? Not even to help. I didn't beg my dad to help. I begged him to talk to my brother. Why would I do that if we weren't willing to make that connection, if we weren't willing to allow that to be the case, if it wasn't up until it was absolutely apparent that the type of help that would have come, like my mom said, would have come with certain stipulations. He would have had to do this. He would have had to do that.
No, is that what he did?
We would have been able to be involved.
Mm.
You know what I mean? The attempt to turn my brother against us in his last days is the most outrageous thing. And that's where you asked me earlier when I didn't finish, that's where it ended for me with my dad.
Absolutely.
Through all of this, I've always been willing. The olive branches have been extended. I have always tried to make amends with my dad, publicly even. I have stated multiple times I'm willing to do that. I have taken my accountability for my post, because that's where this started. The guilt on my shoulders for all of this, for that even, we don't get here without that. But it's like, he had ample opportunity to show up and be my brother's dad. Forget your help. He did 5 shows in California when my brother laid in the hospital.
Yes.
What do we have to do with you coming and paying respects to your son on his deathbed?
When you asked him, did you ask him to do it?
I get no responses.
Okay.
I'm texting and DMing to deaf ears, as far as we know. Mm-hmm. But there was never a time through any of this until all of this started happening. And even still, all I asked him to do was talk to my brother.
Right. Talk
to him. He's begging for you, dog. He's begging for you to talk to him. And I'm gonna take this one so my mom doesn't have to, because we discussed this whole thing. As far as even that, him airing out my mother's voicemail and all of that in the midst of all this too, without any context of how we got there. It's just like, come on, bruv. One of the darkest and coldest and most disheartening memories of my life is the day my brother calls me sobbing with all that he's going through, looking death in the eye, to tell me I'm right about telling him not to call my father. Mm-hmm. Because I knew what was going to happen. Because I knew where my dad was. I told him, my dad is gone. Mm-hmm. Dad's gone. All my brother wanted and needed asked for was my father to tell him that he loves him. And my brother responds to him, or my father responds to my brother that I can't arbitrarily say that I love you.
Right.
But this is the man that wanted to help him. This is the man that was so willing to be there, that was so willing to help my brother stay alive.
I'm sorry, I have to ask that again because that.
No, you heard it right. I can't arbitrarily tell you I love you. My brother's dying of cancer. This was the first time he was terminal.
First time he
This was
terminal.
before his wife, Carla, saved his life.
Absolutely.
Cold calling doctors.
Yeah.
My brother was a Valley Presbyterian in Van Nuys dying when this was happening. I had to walk from my apartment in Sherman Oaks. I had to walk to the hospital into that. Because I'm working, mister. I don't have a job. I don't work. I don't do nothing. So that's why I get hot. I told myself. I mean, I'm not. This is passion.
Yes.
This is, I've always looked at me and my brother and my father as kings.
Mm-hmm.
Yet lions. Mm-hmm. When we and my brother grew up as men and my father realized no more that he could look us in the eye and lie to us because our awareness and our intellectuality was too strong, that's where the divide starts.
Mm.
And even through this all, I've still been willing to embrace as men. But you got to be able to meet me where I'm at.
Your father said something that stuck with me. It was honestly the most enduring memory I had from the interview that he did. He said he believes that Nico's death was preventable and that you all martyred him.
Do you understand how unbelievable that is?
That when I heard that,
As
there's no other way to explain that as a mom than diabolical.
Yeah, it's evil.
That is evil. I moved. First of all, my son, he at that age, the diagnosis, which I want a lot of people to understand, which is a movement that he and his wife, we want to be very clear that when young people are diagnosed with colon cancer, by the time they're diagnosed, they are stage 4. Mm-hmm. So when the comment was made that he was diagnosed and then he was dead.
Right. He said that the evidence shows that if you catch it at stage 1,
he was diagnosed at stage.
If you catch it.
If you catch it.
Ask my dad how many times he told us to go to the doctor. Ask my father how often he cared about any of those types of things. It was preventable, right? What did you do to help?
He says y'all didn't have health care. He didn't say why, but he said you all didn't have health care. Basically, what I heard from it, I don't want to put words in his mouth, was almost that y'all were irresponsible, that you didn't have health coverage, and so you didn't go to the doctor, and that's why.
See, those for me are the petty comments that at this point, it absolutely belittles the amount of work that my daughter did.
Oh my God.
Once the diagnosis was made. Young, healthy. I can't speak for what my son and his wife as adults were going through in their household and how they were running their affairs. Responsible people, them having the type of health care needed or not to adequately care for someone at stage 4 cancer is totally different than they didn't have any.
Right.
So all of the work that was done and all of the family and the reaching out that got him to the point, you can't just toss out that he was that sick. Nico had multiple things that started to happen with him as a result of being stage 4 at his diagnosis. And
needing immediate care.
And needed
immediate emergency
care.
Surgeries.
Surgery after my
it hurts.
After to hear at the point where you want to say that we, because of you, are going to not, me as a mother am going to purposely not care for my son to work your nerves? Who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you? And then to hear that we want to talk about disrespect
Exactly.
to my daughter, to his wife,
And to Nico.
That's exactly what to Nico. See, because the issue is, and I gotta address, like my son said, the context of things. Yes, people heard the voicemail, but they have no idea that as a mom standing in the room with my son on speaker with his wife and hearing how belittling his father talked to him. If the first comment out of his mouth was, I don't appreciate the way you're treating my new family, who gives a damn, man? He's in there in the bed.
Wait, Nico is
septic.
Dying.
Nico.
This is the first time. Nico was full terminal this time. And it had nothing, it was from complications of the cancer. Like my son said, his wife brought him back to health. The fight, you will never act like she sat there and did nothing.
So he's septic. He's on this bed, in this bed, sick, dying, terminal.
He was making his final calls.
He calls his dad as one of his final calls.
His dad finally called him back.
Okay, so he's in his bed, presumably his deathbed at this moment.
Right. We had hospice people outside of our door.
Wow. He gets a call from his dad that he's been waiting for.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And his dad says what?
And we were all, his wife and I, we were all like, okay. His wife, we were like, okay, thank God. This is going to bring him some peace. He wasn't on the phone more than 5 minutes. The conversation isn't able to go any further because I need to be clear that I'm not happy about where you're treating my new family and the kids. And Nico says to him, this is what you want to talk about with me right now. Now, it's on speaker, so this is not a point where at any moment someone can say, this is what I heard from someone else. I'm in the room. I'm there with my son, with his wife, holding hands, and will never, if you want to think of a day where something is cut, is the day that I have to watch my son with everything that he's already dealing with. And the only thing that you want is for this person they went through it. Nico's vitals started escalating. Heart started going. Everything started happening. As his mom, I'm looking at his wife like, we're going to have to cut this conversation. It's not healthy for him. He wanted to stay on. He started to go into a conversation it didn't need to go into. So Nico realized, I need to end it. I'm going to say I love you to my father. And I have to say it 4 times. And then have that be the response. I told the way he cried, I wanted to rip everybody's throat out I could get a hold of. I wanted to tear the hospital down. Because there was nothing I could do for him.
Me too.
And money can kick rocks. So what? You were going to bring him to Atlanta. They were willing to do it. My son couldn't travel. If he would have been unhooked from any one of those machines, he would have gone. To say that we didn't do, his wife didn't do everything she could. To say how fierce it got, the times that we sat and had to continually hear, he won't eat. This is it. And I know that it'll turn into, well, you didn't tell him. He should have known. Has nothing to do with any of it. Has absolutely nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Nothing to do with you. The voicemail, yes, it was left. We went through that. We hung the phone up. I said to my daughter, and I asked, I got to give respect to her as well. I talked to my daughter before we even came, and I said, your husband and your respect that I will give to the two of you in your relationship, I can't speak on your part. Things I was there for. Through his starting his chemo, moving to a new hospital, this was his wife.
100%.
And to act like there was nothing done and that they were irresponsible, I mean, you got to get out of here with that. We hung the phone up, walked out, calmed my son. Not 2 hours later, Nico and I received it was the worst text message from him. He only sent it to Nico and I. Even after that conversation, he sent it to Nico and I. And it was horrible. This is from him.
What did he say?
How Nico was dying because of us.
Right.
How Nico was... how he is so sorry that his brother and I were brainwashing him and that he was going to, as a result, die from that. How they were there to help and we are brainwashing him. He said, yeah, I guess all that mama bear bullshit is for show. He wrote this to my son and to me. Of course I called. Of course I called. He's not going to say that the conversation happened before. Of course he's not going to say that because that would make him an asshole. He has to look like I was doing everything. I'm dealing with some crazy people here who hate me so much that they're going to allow my child to be sick, to not deal with you. So absolutely I called. Absolutely, I called, and he knew not to answer. And I meant every word that I said. If this is the way you are going to help him, don't contact him. Don't do it. This is not you helping to heal him. So, if you want to be clear, the fact that he chose to no longer reach out is the fact that you weren't able to control the entire situation. You can't control this. There would be absolutely no way to hear out of someone's mouth as my child's mother that some other woman wanted to care for him. That takes his wife again out of it. And everything she did for my daughter,
Carla's
saved my son's
literal angel
life
on another level.
She saved his. She deserves every bit of respect, every piece of it. She kept my son alive. He was already...
We got another year.
We
were blessed to have another year and a half to see them get married.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That part of it, if you need, find another reason to make yourself look better.
Exactly.
And if some of these other little dumb things that, like my son said, had to eventually be addressed, if our point was to make ourselves in any way there's no gain from this. None, no gain from it at all. If it was about that, would we have been out and about just all over the place? We're talking about things from years ago. Why now? Because now it has to be addressed. And the last thing that anyone will remember of my son are any of the things that he wants to talk about.
Period.
Any of the things that he wants to talk about, that will not be my child's memory. It will not. Yeah. It will constantly be that he was a good man. Constantly be. He was the
best.
He was amazing. He's amazing husband, son, talented, one of the top photographers in the game. Talk about that, man.
Genius.
Talk about that.
Genius level.
Genius. Talk about that. You want to talk about that his life and the consistency of it and the totality of it is that he passed away from cancer and no one helped him. That is not the truth. I have no reason.
It's despicable.
It's
evil.
It's evil. It's evil in that.
It's evil,
at
man.
this moment.
To now act like you're holy in some way. I'm not rocking with it.
No, absolutely not. You choose my son's birthday.
Hey, stop talking about
Talk to me about that birthday thing, because this
That is not the truth. That is not the truth. There has been no judgment. I am able to say that.
because the public narrative is that there's a defamation suit that he won.
He did not win. There has been no judgment. The case is pending. I, at this point, have submitted more documents to case than even the other side has. I want it over with. Because this is an.
Wait, so what's he claiming? Because it was was it 8 million?
There has been no call from a judge. There has been no settlement awarded.
So what's he referencing?
He's referencing who knows?
So this isn't like one of those legal technicalities. You're saying
Absolutely not.
You're saying just he hasn't won.
No.
Okay.
We have not.
Because we see him on the internet. I hear your voicemail. I see the image. I see him celebrating. He looked a little.
The fact that he did that on my brother's first birthday of passing should be where this all ends.
It should be where it ends. And the fact
If
that is not the
doesn't
truth.
prove the narcissistic strategy behind just trying to be a dick, clicking your heels on the internet. What the
So
fuck? What's
bizarre.
wrong with you, bro?
It was scary,
Word?
bizarre.
Yeah.
Does that seem like someone that y'all should take as a credible source of information with all things considered? I beg y'all, man.
Please, I do.
Dig a little deeper.
He put the case, if you want to go back to the post, the case number, he posted it. It's public. You can go. You can see it. You can see where it's pending. You can see where it's only pending because it hasn't been closed.
Okay. Wow. You know, Charlotte, emotions are a little heavy. Let's just take a quick break and reset. I want y'all to take a second to breathe. So, Brian Sr. has remarried.
Mm-hmm.
He seems very happy. I don't think I've ever heard anyone describe happiness so thoroughly as him in his relationship. From the moment he met this woman and thought she was an apparition until the moment now where he's never loved anyone or anything like his family. How do you all feel about this stage of his life? How do you make sense of it? It's probably a better question.
I don't.
I can't.
I spend no time thinking about my dad
Exactly.
in his relationships. He's a grown man.
Right.
Me and my brother were in the wedding.
So that's where it gets confusing.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I remember being at the Man Music Center watching y'all perform on stage. Y'all look like the happiest three people I've ever seen together. I mean, you on stage, y'all. I mean, y'all I was like, this is a father and two sons that are tight.
Mm-hmm.
See, musically,
Right.
hell yeah.
Right.
That's what I had to realize. My dream was always for us to do exactly that.
Oh, they were amazing.
There were a time where my dad wanted to join our band, Broken Robots. I don't want people to think that there weren't good times.
Absolutely.
That's why all of this is so tough and surreal for me in my life, to realize like this is where we're at, doing this and talking about these things instead of being the prominent black family, blended family that we could be.
Well, if y'all were in the wedding, that sounded like a great start for a blended family. And at that time, you didn't have any issues with Leilani.
No, I have none. Well, I've never met her, but I have to, like my son said, my life was not in any way consumed with what he was doing. And I have a whole huge life.
Yeah. Seeing my dad with women is nothing new.
No.
Or serious. This was in love, settled down.
I thought it was
serious.
amazing.
They've all been serious.
Yeah.
My dad is I fall in love quick dude. It's what happens when you're a serial dater, serial cheater, serial things that I've grown through, things that I understand. Again, I know this nigga.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you're going to marry this one. Bet. She actually got the ring. Bet. He was engaged before. The whole charade. You know, for whatever reason, and I won't get into what I think it is, this one stuck.
Right.
What has transpired since then has been the seeing my dad consistently becoming a different person.
Yeah.
If you're actually that happy and you're so in love, and so just go be that. The need to broadcast, the need to overly do it, I'm all for sharing your spouse, you guys are in love, but the campaign around it seems a little weird.
How do you make sense of it? Why do you think it's happening if it's not sincere?
I think it's damage control in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Where are the songs? This is the most happy that you've ever been. This is you're finally living your songs. Where are they? What songs are you living?
And the other songs, if I remember correctly, he said weren't inspired by y'all.
It's outrageous.
That this is the first time that the songs mean something and that he feels something.
Which songs he's talking about?
Well, so that's interesting. So there's the question about where the new songs are.
Where they at?
But there's also the old song question. Did he ever tell you a song was inspired by you?
Well, the one he wrote for me, Mary Lee,
For one.
was mine. And I remember years ago, it was a discussion around when he wrote "Should Have Been Loving You." He made it clear that he said, "This is my dear," to my ex-wife Julie. Could have been a lie. Who knows? I don't know. But I was there. I didn't need him to write a song for me. I was sitting there and hearing him create the songs. I was standing in line at Disneyland when he's writing, songs with his partner, Brandon Barnes, who I think needs a lot of credit.
Shout out to Uncle B.
A lot, because he was his writing partner. They did write these things together. We were there and saw where the songs came from. I don't look at. It's strange to me that you need to belittle former relationships and your other children to warrant that this is the love of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just let it be the love of your life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is happy with love and being in love. We are a proud blended family. I love my love daughters, their sisters. I love their mamas.
Mm-hmm.
And these, I do have to make clear, a lot of times I hear that the narrative is these are my love daughters are children that happen within our marriage. Even if they were, that wouldn't be an issue for me. But respecting their mothers, they were not side women. These were women that he had relationships with after.
Right, because that is one of the rumors that he had a baby during his time.
No. The woman that came to my home, I don't know if she still had that child or not. That was during our marriage. But their siblings, my love children that their moms have allowed me to share their lives with, they love my sons just like I do, and that we used to share Christmases together. I'm glad my son said that. We don't want it to appear that there were no good times. We had good times.
Yeah.
Because our families were that close. Even after our divorce, he still came for Christmas. He made the comment that I brought her whole family out for Thanksgiving. No, you requested us to come out. We weren't doing that. You would always spend Christmases with us. We wanted the boys with their dad. He wanted that sense of family. He would, that is what we would do. When we spent the time there, the girlfriend was there. No one cared. This is our bottom line is family.
Period.
It's just family, whether it's blended, whether it's not. Even, the wife at the time, the girlfriend at the time, the other fiance, 2 kids partially grew up with my sons.
Right.
I would go out, spend time in summer. We're in the kitchen cooking. The kids are here. I don't want it to seem that we had issues with the fact that you had other relationships. You should. This is life. Be in love.
Right.
Have those kids. Bring them into the family. That's what we've always done.
Which brings about my issue and where all this starts from. Because how dare you treat my siblings as less than?
Right.
Simple.
The less than thing is a point of contention for a lot of people in the public because the world became aware that you, Brian McKnight Jr., now don't share the exact same name as your dad because he changed his name to a different middle name to match
my new young brother.
Your new young brother that he has with his wife, whose name is Brian McKnight.
Right.
So he basically made him the junior and kind of, for lack of a better term, unjuniored you.
Right.
How did...
So ridiculous.
And I'm sorry, I just know
it's just weird. It's like idiocracy. It's like living in a movie.
How'd that happen? How'd you find out?
I found out like everybody else.
We find out everything online.
Imagine waking up one day. I'm like, is my son still Brian McKnight the third?
Or is he a junior?
See, like it's again, do these sound like decisions by someone of sound mind? I don't know. Or are you that? Do you resent us that much? And if so, why? What did we do to you, dog? Listen, that's why I said I know where all the bodies are buried. I have protected my dad more than anyone else on this earth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And when I had my little exchange with him and I said that there are things I know that I've been told, and I've made an effort to not say them, and I won't, right? Because there are things that haven't been said in this interview by any of us that go way beyond anything that have been
100%.
Because the goal is not to drag anybody. It's not to humiliate anybody. That's not the point here.
Right.
There's no pettiness in this. This is about you telling your side of the story and hopefully creating a space for healing.
Yes.
That's
is
all I want to do.
Want.
It's the only reason why I'm here.
Yep.
How do you heal? How can you heal from this?
More conversations like this.
Yeah.
But with a level of openness and understanding and compassion. That's my whole movement from here on out. That's why I'm glad I'm doing this. That's why I started a GoFundMe and released that to the public for helping me fix my truck. I need people to understand that I'm a real person.
Right.
I have a side of this that y'all should not know, but I am now willing to meet you wherever you're at.
Yeah.
If you're someone that feels like I'm just a drug addict deadbeat that should have done this because my dad was Brian McKnight, okay, cool. Come get to know me. Come talk to me. I'm about to do a cross-country trip from LA to Raleigh, and I want to meet all of you on the way. I want to touch the people that have invested in me and helped me get my truck back on the road so that y'all can see that this is what I'm here to do. In the midst of that, I would love to build a community of not only just young men and young fathers and dads, grandfathers and everybody, but a lot of women as well that are going through this, children, other celebrity kids or other kids of people in prominent places that are going through similar things that maybe not be in the public. But I do think if we have to be the family that has made an example of how to find redemption together, even to my father, dog.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be amazing after all of this to come to a place where we can come back together and give the people what we should be giving them?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be the arc of a century of the family?
He said, when asked about healing or communication or reconciliation, he said the time has come and gone for that. Do y'all agree?
I don't agree. I think
the rapper in me does. Yeah.
Yeah. The rapper.
The rapper in me is
Yes. See that
he's flaming him.
Right.
No reconciliation, but
But you lead a booth, and now you're Brian McKnight, the original junior,
the OG junior.
OG junior.
I see
a rap name.
I see a path where this can be bigger for everybody.
Yes.
I do see a path, whether or not we reconcile or not. I do see a path where this can lead to a much broader conversation that extends past us and our personal business.
Right.
I love what Oprah's talking about right now about estranged parents and children. There's no coincidence that this is the thing because, again, man, society is changing. Our narrative on marriages and relationships are changing. Yeah. These young kids have a different viewpoint of the world. But me being like, the middle child generation sees, though, that we need a new mentor. We need someone my age out here talking to these kids and even to our older generation and bridging that gap. Me and my Uncle Vic, one of my favorite singer-songwriters and one of my mentors, my mother's older brother, we talk about all the time. How can we bridge this gap? How can we bridge this gap? And it's doing things like this, man. This is why I'm so appreciative of you. Even the way that you've led this conversation and the way that you've hosted this has allowed us to be vulnerable. It's allowed us to speak on certain things, and it's allowed us to just give our perspectives. It's not about change. It's not about controlling the narrative. It's not even about changing the narrative either, but it's about getting to the place to where the conversation is open and honest and is met with a willingness to grow. Iron sharpens iron. The only way we can move forward, even as a culture, is to begin to have these tough conversations. Very, very tough conversations, man, about blended families, especially. As we know, It's a thing in our culture, you know? And I think now even men my dad's age are starting to come to terms with that as well. How much time they wasted in their 20s and 30s chasing these hoes instead of reaching their full potential. Getting back to my dad, where's the music, dog? Where's the Brian McKnight that we love and the reason why everyone believes what you say? Where is what you do? Where did he go? You're so loving and in love, and
Maybe
you
it's
love
like
your
Mary J.
wife.
Blige. Maybe he's too happy to make
music.
No, as a songwriter who's never had writer's block for 20 years, and I'm still operating on a high level, through the highs and the lows, through the things that I'm going through now, what I can still do is sit down and write a better song than anybody that you know, other than my dad.
Yeah.
And even I don't think can fuck with me anymore. Sorry for cussing. But it's because I've never stopped and I've never used people to be my muses.
Right.
I think what my dad has run into is meeting his match in someone that does not inspire him. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's just me keeping it OG real with you. And that's why you have to overcompensate with all this. I love my wife. I love my wife. I love my wife. I can't imagine the level of control and manipulation going on behind the scenes there because she's got Brian McKnight. She's got him. Mm-hmm. She cares about the name. Mm-hmm. She is the master planner behind a lot of these things. I believe that in my heart, which opens up another conversation about, and what a lot of men don't think, haven't had a lot of time to talk about until very recently, is how a lot of these women move out here.
Right.
Everybody want to talk about my mama. You feel me? With all these untruths and things and completely making her past and her hardships irrelevant for whatever reason. It's like, no, okay, well, it's time to shine a light on a lot of these hoes out here that are ruining niggas' lives, that are stealing the lifeblood from niggas. You know what I mean? That are sucking the soul out of our great artists. I believe this is a big reason why we don't get a lot of music from a lot of the people that we love so much that have disappeared into the thin air. Mm-hmm. Where did you niggas go? Mm-hmm. Y'all can't write no more music where the 90s and the 2000s all y'all had? Or did you spend a whole lot of time not working out no more? Mm-hmm. I challenge all of you to come to the studio with me. You need to get it back. You try to get that spark back. I challenge you all. Let's get back to putting it into the music.
Yeah.
All we hear all the time now, niggas don't beg no more. Niggas don't make music for love no more. Where did that go? Mm-hmm. It ain't that we're not loving people. It's not that we're not in relationships, but I do think a little bit of that essence has gotten lost somewhere. Mm-hmm. And in the case of my dad, if you are so in love with your life and your lady, where's the proof other than Instagram? Why are you trying to prove it to us so badly in that way? Get behind that piano, dog, and write something meaningful that we would actually care about. Mm-hmm. That's what we love you for. I'm your biggest fan.
Yes, he's amazing.
The most disheartening thing about all of this is the fact that, dog, where are you?
Mm-hmm. Even as you talk about your dad, all the criticism, all the frustration, I still hear love. I still hear admiration.
Oh, absolutely.
It's my dad.
Absolutely.
If you had in fact, you do have the opportunity to say something to him, directly to him. What would be your message to your dad?
Oh, I've been saying it. Come talk to me, man. When you're ready. Mm-hmm. You got my number. You obviously auction our IGs. But I do think there is a bigger conversation that we need to have. And if you and I, Father, can get past that point publicly, imagine what we could do together, man. If money also is the issue, because I know that's a big thing for you, imagine what we could do out here. Brian McKnight, the two best singer-songwriters on earth, I believe, and producers, because more people should know that you're an amazing producer, too. Absolutely. Need to get back to it.
Yeah.
I understand it's frustrating, man. I understand it's hard. I can't imagine what you're going through. I can't imagine what you're feeling. I know you miss Grandma Elaine. Yeah. I know you miss us, man, and I know it's hard now, and I'm sorry I put that post out and ruined what you thought was the view of the world for you, but imagine what we could do now. Mm-hmm. Give us a chance. Mm-hmm. Give us a chance, but what you're not going to do is talk about Nico anymore, and I'm going to make that very clear. If we can put that to the side, just imagine what we could do. Look at what the Jonas Brothers are doing, man. I reference them all the time. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing that, and there should be a black, prominent family that is doing the same thing. Imagine with all the talent in our families, what we could do together. Just take a second and imagine that. Mm-hmm. Please. Family. I know that you haven't forgotten that. Mm-mm. Family. Man.
Julie, if you had a message, what would it be?
I know that who I see is not who you are. I know the person who couldn't help but hum and sing all day. Music that just came out of you fabulously. You couldn't even sleep without writing, and it came out, and it was amazing because it's your gift. There's something that's stopping you. We know who we know. We know the one that ran around the house with water guns. We know the one who loved Christmas. We know the one that, wrote the songs for his children. We know that one who loved his family and enjoyed his house full of people, his aunts and uncles who we know you are no longer in contact with. That's a problem. We want to see you be that person who we know was better than who we see right now. And stop talking about my son.
Just come home, man.
Come
and
home.
bring your family.
Bring your family. Absolutely.
Bring them.
Absolutely.
And if they don't want you to come home,
think about why.
We would never stop your shine. It's not what we're here to do. I don't have time to do it.
Mm-mm. Come meet your grandkids.
Yeah, man.
Come, you got 3. They're beautiful.
And they miss you.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing people don't understand about this too, man. Just to touch on another thing that I think needs to be talked about. It'd be one thing if my dad, it's not like back in the day when there was no social media, there were no phones, and nigga could disappear and you wouldn't see your father ever again.
Right.
I got to wake up every day and see my dad in the news, which means my son, who's now 11, and his sister, who's now 7, can also see the same thing. It's no more of, me and their mother have never lied to them. They know who their grandfather is. But now they're old enough to be hearing all of this as well. So there are many more lives here, man, that are being affected by this.
They are being affected.
And that's going to happen either way, whether it's negative or positive. How about we try to do it in a positive way from here on out? Because then we're all good. And if you still, after that, let's just put it to the test because you're a very smart dude. Let's make it a science experiment. If we reconcile, imagine this. Imagine if we reconcile, it works out for the best. If we get to that point and you still don't want nothing to do with us, fine. But at least then we can say that we did it all, man. And then we can go our separate ways amicably instead of doing it like this. I think the narrative here is setting us up for a huge win if you're willing to meet us where we're at. I'm willing to meet you where we're at. I'm willing to meet everyone, just like we've done here with Brother Mark. Meet me where we're at. I'm willing to do that with everybody. You know what I mean? And in the sake of a collective healing of our souls as a consciousness, for one, as a people, as Black people, I think we have an opportunity here, man, to
show that it can be done.
To throw a serious wrench in a lot of the generational trauma that a lot of us have gone through. I think this opens up a lot of doors, man, and I'm willing to be that person.
Man,
and that is my son.
That's right. That's right. Be proud, Mama Bear.
I am.
I'm so grateful to you all for spending this time with me, and I know people would have assumed that this would be a gripe session, a revenge session, a petty session, and it's not. This is a healing session.
Healing.
Right. We heal by first exposing our wounds.
Right. Absolutely.
And now we're going to treat those wounds.
Absolutely.
And the next step is up to y'all, man. I send love to you. Again, my gratitude to you, and I'm praying for you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching Conversations with Marc Lamont Hill. We'll be back soon.